Hello, my name's Brian. I'm an agile management consultant, and earlier last year I left the smoke of old London town and headed north. Welcome to glorious Yorkshire. Now I'm using the agile management practices to get stuff done around the house. We have some grand plans on the roadmap. But plans are nothing. We've actually got to get stuff done. But if agility is just a bunch of silly words to you, then don't worry. Stick around. Just enjoy watching stuff getting done.
Priorities change. The agile consultancy that I've spent over a decade working for has been wound up, which leaves me with a gap, both monetary and temporarily, between finishing there and getting new contracts and partnerships set up. So, I've agreed to build some stage sets for an old friend of mine who is designing the Christmas installations at Castle Howard, a stately home in North Yorkshire. This year, the theme is The Wizard of Oz.
So this is my new home for the next few weeks as I put together some stage sets for a friend of mine. We're building the Emerald City at the end of the Yellow Brick Road.
And whilst I do need to build the Emerald City at the end of the Yellow Brick Road, it starts with a tornado dropping Dorothy's house into the Kingdom of Oz. The design brief is a crashed early 20th century Prairie House that will fit on the China landing in Castle Howard. The China landing is at the top of a set of stairs and is named for the priceless antique china kept in the cabinets on one side of the landing. This also makes the perspective different from the usual. People will be looking up at the set piece as they climb the stairs. They see it from below. The CAD model starts as an outline of the China landing with a simple box sat in the middle of the landing. This simple mock-up allows me to get the size and position correct before commencing on detailed design work. Start simple, construction details will be added later once the concept has been fixed. To make it look like it's been dropped from a tornado, I want everything to be at an angle. The width of the landing is such that if I tried to create a full frontage, it would be very tall and thin, which would look odd. The cheat is to cut away one side of the house to give the impression that it is wider than it is. Cutting the side away also allows visitors to see inside the set piece as they progress along the tour route, which passes through the cutaway section. The timber delivery has arrived, and I've got a stack of plans ready to go. Because the crashed house sits at an angle, many of the cuts in the timber must be made at an angle. Measure twice, stop, think, measure again, then check which side of the angle the measurement should be. Ignore the freaky disembodied heads. They're always staring at you. Concentrate on the measurements. Don't mess up the measurements. There isn't enough spare timber. Sometimes the angle runs across the timber, sometimes it runs along the timber. Some of the timber is pushed through the table saw to create the angle along its length. I can put one against the other to check that the angles match. The frame is laid out on the floor, and I can check that all the dimensions match the plans. Checking that everything fits is the physical equivalent of software development's continuous integration. I know that the pieces match, except when they don't. There's a 30mm gap, and I don't know why.
Day 2 at Park Farm. Overnight was able to rectify the issue with the offside frame. The error was there. That was in the design, the model is 70mm deep, really needed to be 45mm deep. When I adjusted that gains us an extra 25 to 30mm on all of those dimensions, which fits with the error, the discrepancy we were seeing yesterday. There's a moral there about having access to the model, the raw data, to be able to see what's going on, rather than having to go home to interrogate it. Anyhow, means today I can progress, get this offside frame done, get the front frame done, maybe even get something up by the end of the day. Means I've now got to recut some timbers. So shortest timber's going to be discarded or chopped up for other bits. And then each of the other timbers will be cut down to become the next size down, and I'll cut a fresh long timber and I will make progress. That for another day. That didn't work, as I'd expected. Those are what we're going to need.
Jigs allow repeatability. The holes in one piece will be in the same place as the holes in another piece, so they fit together. The jig ensures the correct spacing. The drill guide ensures that the holes are perpendicular. Rear wall done, side wall next. The inner surface is clad with thin plywood and gives the frame strength to resist skewing, keeping it all square. The bottom of the wall will be below the floor level, so it is left uncovered. This also provides access to the securing bolts. Integrate early and often. Putting the two pieces together proves they fit together, that the jig worked and all the securing holes between the two wall pieces line up. Then the summer storms hit. The front wall is considerably more complex as it contains doors and windows. However, having learnt from the earlier walls, I know which dimensions need double checking.
Where's the agility in all this? I mean, after all, I'm just building stage sets. But consider this, and maybe apply this to your context. I have a fixed deadline. The fixed deadline is not Christmas. Anyone that needs to do something for Christmas, you need to have got it done a long time before Christmas. So my deadline is end of October. I need all these pieces ready for the Christmas shows up at the house. That deadline's non-negotiable. Can't shift Christmas. I mean, I could pick the phone up, call the Pope and ask him to shift Christmas, but I don't think it's going to be happening. Not anytime soon. So, what remains negotiable is scope. I know exactly what I want out of this in my mind. The level of detail, the level of finesse with everything. Am I going to get that? Probably not. But I can compromise. As long as the structure is there, the customers, the people walking through the house, They don't know exactly what was up in my head, so they don't know that bits are missing. But it does have to all be there, even if the level of fidelity isn't what I was hoping for. If I leave out a door, they won't notice the door is missing. But if I leave something half painted, incomplete, that they will notice. So whatever we do has to be complete. It's the level of fidelity that we get it to that is negotiable. Quality is an interesting one, particularly in the theatre. Anything that people walk on, you need to make with absolute structural integrity. It will be 18 mil, 3/4 inch ply. It will be a steel frame so that they can dance across it. But anything that wants to go into the sky, to fly into the air in a theatre, you want to make that out of papier-mâché. It might look like weathered steel and as if it weighs 100 tons, but the reality is it's probably about 100 kilos, so that somebody can lift it. Very interesting challenges there. Anyhow, I've got to get on. I will do so.
Integrate repeatedly. This is harder when it's a 3-person operation.
Okay, so you're the bottom.
Yeah.
So if you go into that corner, we'll
Right, drop down, walk it up.
yeah, drop this edge down, and then we'll walk it up, and then we'll put your end down. Let me get it vertical, and then we'll manoeuvre it once it's vertical. No, your end down. That's it. If you can walk towards the tent.
You're right.
Yeah.
Bottom
is your left. You see it. So we need to go up. Right, walk yourself in. You got something to grab. Right. Should we swap ends?
Yeah.
Go round to the side, Adrian. That's not right.
You've got to give it a...
Oh yeah.
This comes up a bit. Can you pull your both ends? Can you pull your ends out?
Just getting that. You need to come out, Dave. Right.
Oh, there we go. That's giving it a bit of a...
We integrate in order to check that everything fits together. And it doesn't. But we have time to fix it, so let's do that. Cladding timber has arrived. It was sourced from a sawmill on the estate that uses trees from the estate. It is just slices of a tree. It needs cutting to create a straight edge.
State of play. We spent most of yesterday sorting out that timber, trying to thin it down so it weighs less when it goes onto the frames. Otherwise, they're just going to be too hard to manhandle. Now, I still need to dismantle that one that I did yesterday. It's lurking in the back of that stack there. And that will then have to go through the planer. He says, there's the planer, in order to reduce the weight of that so it's manageable.
Roof trusses. These are important as they hold the top of the structure together. Integration again. They are assembled on the floor to test everything fits and where it's easier to rectify any problems. One more integration. Assembling the house in the yard, this time with the roof in place. The trusses aren't sitting flush. I hadn't accounted for the thicker cladding. This can be fixed. I'll just chisel a notch out of the cladding. It's my own fault for not going back and revising the plans to reflect the reality of the situation, the thicker timber being delivered. For now, that's the crashed Prairie House done. It's put to one side, ready to come back out once everything starts moving up to the castle.
The time has come to head up to the castle.
And we're in. I didn't manage to film any of the move and assembly, but the film crew following us around did. Look out for Castle Howard, A Very British Christmas, on Channel 4 in the UK. Whilst the walls are up, it's still missing a roof. There are restrictions on what we can do in the castle to minimise the chance of damage to the fabric of the historic building. The corrugated steel is distressed up at the farm to make it look like it's been through a tornado, then loaded into the back of my car to get it over to the castle.
Wonky end up. I need more. No, that guy wants to go up first. Can we not go up first? Yes, we can. Yeah, we can.
You want the wonky end at the top?
Yeah, that's the point. Or is it bridge truss? I like it.
It's very impressive.
Just basically garden.
With the roof on and a rough and ready porch constructed on the front, the house is ready to hand over to the floristry team for dressing. The crashed Prairie House is just the beginning. From here, we're heading to the Emerald City, but that is for another day.